All right, episode 212. Today, we're going to do the 10 must-follow rules for real estate agents' successes. We're going to get started right now.
Need 10 more.
All right, welcome back. Episode 212. Today, we're talking about the 10 must-follow rules for real estate agent success. But look, we got to thank our sponsors because we didn't really do that last week, I don't think. So
it's our first show of the year
yeah,
last week.
We were
rusty.
still
a little ring rust on us.
Like it was like a brand new year, new show, right? So, so thank you to our sponsors. First and foremost, Mortgage Mike, who is look, he's back. He's back slanging
baby.
loans. He's giving that Mortgage Mike stamp of approval. Just go to mmgloans.com. He is licensed here in Texas and in Oklahoma. He said rates are just off the chain.
Yeah, they're coming back. They're doing good.
Yeah, he said don't call it a comeback.
Don't call it a
It's been here for years.
You know who else has been here for years? Theron Smith. At least his beard has been here for years.
Yep.
Over at armadillo.1/tour, the home of Armadillo Home Warranty. Home warranties are back. Remember when there was a time when you didn't do home warranties?
Yes.
I can't even fathom. Make sure you get that hard shell protection by going to armadillo.1/tour.
Brian needed hard shell protection today.
I did need hard shell protection today. We'll get that in a second. But first, homewardfw.com. Dana Wynn, Duncan O'Donnell over there crushing it. About to bring on a whole bunch more.
Yeah, DFW Residential Property Management Company. She just said there's an agent that has a 6-unit multifamily that just moved to Colorado who wants to hire us.
We legit had someone today who opted not to use Homeward because he's getting his real estate license and he's going to do it himself. Okay. So I said, I'll talk to you in 90 days.
I was going to say,
we'll lease
3
your
months
property,
is what I was going to say.
Like, there's not as like...
No.
Like, what a bizarre scenario. This has been one of the weirdest gets I've ever been on for Homeward.
Is it his own property?
It's his own property.
He doesn't need a real estate license.
Dude, don't even get me into it.
I don't understand.
I think it's a win for Homeward that he's opting for himself.
Definitely, because if you believe that you need to have a real estate license to manage your own properties, that's troublesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So look, and then if you want to create amazing content just like this, so you can just kind of bullshit around like we do.
What?
No, it's like we do. We're not making fun of your content, Jesse.
No,
this is
y'all's
our
content. This isn't bullshit.
Well, thank you. All you got to
look how many people are watching.
I think the act of bullshitting around is different than bullshit.
True. So if you want to just create some amazing, and you want to get compliments just like Jesse gave us one, just go to tourstudios.com. We pay for those compliments. Tourstudios.com. Just get with Jesse on that one, and become that real estate celebrity in your marketplace. So, all right, today we're going to talk about the 10 must-follow rules for real estate agent successes. Brian's not following any of these because he didn't have that hard shell protection today. He got hammered from behind.
Day in the life.
Hammered from behind.
Real estate.
This is why it's related to real estate. What were you doing?
Yeah. That's the thing. People are like, what's the craziest thing that's ever happened to you in real estate? So I was checking out a property today for a potential flip. We're inside. I was with my mom, who was also GCs our projects, and like there's me and her and like 3 other people in this house, and we heard a really loud noise, and everybody in the house thought it was somebody else in the house, like dropping something or whatever. And then about 2 minutes felt like went by, and we just kind of were like, somebody dropped something. It was a very loud noise, and then this lady starts screaming in the front yard, and we run out. She had smashed and obliterated my car.
I saw the picture of it, and like keep in mind that cars are designed to like absorb rear and front impact injuries. The whole back of your Lincoln is smoked, and the front of her truck was eating front seat too.
Dude, when I was talking with the officers and all the first of all, everybody's okay. We ran out there. They had some kids in the car. We got them out. A bit tongue was about the worst that it got, and a little blood and maybe a concussion, but that was about it. Which, like, thank God, if you see these pictures, that no one died.
No brakes were used either.
There's no skid marks. We were joking about that, the cop, because everybody's a little frazzled, and I'm not in shock or anything because I wasn't in the car, so I'm very lucky. But she's trying to talk to the officers, and she's like, talking about how she,
Do you care if he pops that up there?
No, for sure, you're fine. I don't know if I want people to see my plate number. Can you blur that?
Find out on the fly.
I can.
I mean, it's not going to be my plate number for much longer.
Join the only real estate group worth being a part of, and we'll post the blurred picture in a little bit.
Yeah, there you go. Like she was talking to the officer saying her brakes failed and stuff, and me and the cops are very unaffected by these things because they see them all the time. We were kind of joking about it afterwards. Like, I'm not an automotive expert, but didn't look like her brakes failed.
Told that same lie my junior year of high school when I wrecked Troy's Ford Probe into the back of another car. I was like, oh, I hit a rock. And they're like, you hit a rock so huge it made the car jump a lane? I was like, absolutely.
Did a barrel roll? Yeah, dude. It was intense, bro. So very lucky that I was not still sitting in the car, but those things, man. And then I think the flip was overpriced anyway, so it was kind of
it's the
waste of time.
You didn't even get the condolence prize of winning the house.
The funniest thing is, like, if you know why Forrest even drives that car in the first place, because all other cars have annoyed him and caused him so many other problems.
Yes.
To have what he considers a dependable car to turn into a fucking accordion on the side of a street is just ridiculous.
Yeah. I was talking to the insurance guy from State Farm about the next steps, and they're like, they got to take it to the collision center, and they'll determine if it's totaled. And I was like, okay. It'll take long.
Yeah.
Talk to you guys later.
You definitely gone. So, all right. So look, let's get into this, is because we have an hour. All right, and we've taken up 15 minutes. So this is the 10 rules of how to set up a plan of attack. Right, we're in 2024, start of the new year. We've got this an election year. We've got rates that seem like they're headed in a good direction. Sometimes, even Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, is trying to derail a little bit, saying we're going to go into more of that 1970s stagflation market. I'm blanking out on that. And so, look, this is coming at the right time, because I screenshotted this. This was in a Reddit group, and I think, Jesse, you're pretty big on Reddit, aren't you?
I can
in
sometimes.
what way?
Yeah,
I can sometimes.
Yeah, Jesse, tell us about that. So
Jesse's huge on Reddit.
Yeah,
I mean, I get a lot of really good Manchester United information.
There you go.
Yeah.
You get a lot of good stuff on there.
Exactly. You can find anything you want on Reddit. And so this one here is, should I quit real estate? This was a post in one of the realtor Reddit groups. Just got my license in September, and I joined a team. I worked really hard, open houses every weekend, calling leads, etc. I got let go of my team because my son has been sick so much that my team leader wanted me in the office every day, and I just didn't close any transactions, so I was let go. I had one in escrow, but she backed out. I'm about to join a new brokerage, but I'm feeling very discouraged, Brian. I paid so many fees and have only made money from one rental and some showings for another agent. I'm considering going back to school for nursing or teaching, but I'm 41 and would have to take out a loan. Should I keep trying at real estate, or should I go back to school?
Man,
that's a kick in the butt.
Yeah,
it is tough, dude. I know there's a lot of agents probably in that same situation.
No, there is. I mean,
same things right now.
I'm trying to remember that if we can find the stat during the show, but last year it was like almost, I want to say it was close to 50% that either did 0 or 1 transaction.
Yeah. Can you imagine any other industry?
Well, and I understand at that level, you're new to something. You joined, especially when you're new, and then you join a team expecting them to be like really into you and whatever, and then what sounds like 4 months later they're already letting her go and stuff. Like, I could see that why you would make you think you were a failure.
Yeah,
there's just so much of this though that is like failure is honestly the thing you get to do the most in real estate. Welcome, right?
Yeah.
Like you were gonna probably get your teeth kicked in a couple of more times. So no, don't quit, to that lady on Reddit.
Well, if don't quit,
or man,
or I think it's a lady. 10 rule, or you need to make sure that you're able to set up a plan of attack and actually execute it. So this was something that Ben Kinney had shared. It's the 10 rules on how to set up a plan of attack. These rules can be applied to your business, whether you're focusing on your goals or how you want to strengthen your overall relationships, because this can be in personal and in business. So however you choose to use these rules, just know that you'll see positive results if you consistently apply them, or even just a few of them. So this is something that we shared with our team meeting this past week. And I even think this week is the week that the majority of people, if they had a fitness New Year's resolution, gave up on that.
Well, I'm surprised they had so many extra days in this new year. I do not like holidays on Mondays. Yeah. It is. There are too many Monday holidays between Christmas, the end of the year, MLK Day. I feel like the new year started today.
Yeah.
Kind of feels like
And it's
that,
like
right?
halfway through the
Well,
month.
then there was a snow day.
That's what I'm saying is here
Yeah.
locally with the weather, actually nationally, we've had this terrible weather.
Yeah.
It feels like the new year is kind of just getting started, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully they go to the gym for 2 more weeks.
Yeah.
Quit on February 1.
Exactly. So out of these 10 rules, and Jesse, if you're able to pull this up and kind of show some of these, I don't know how you want to do this. But
just announce them too.
well, yeah, like people like to see things.
Okay,
yeah.
I'll put them in the
Yeah,
comments.
I got it. I got it.
Yeah,
I got it.
Jesse,
Get
look,
the
just
slide.
tourstudios.com.
This is what I do.
Yeah, he is a professional, sir. But rule number 1, and this is my personal goal for 2024. I think I was telling you this, Brian. It's to simplify, to take action, right? So rule number 1 is we overcomplicate things.
Yeah.
And in my world personally is like I've got too many irons in the pot. And then, you what is it? You can be a jack of all trades, but a master of none. And so this is one of my number 1 rules that I'm personally focused on is really simplification, so that it can take action. And how does complexity undermine the success that you're wanting to have? And then how could you implement simplicity just to serve you or better serve you? And this is something that we see right now. Everyone's they're either have planned out their business for the year or they're still doing it.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, like, in order to get to their goals, they've overcomplicated it in general.
Well, this is just a product of the society that we live in. Like, shiny object syndrome is at an all-time high. And you can understand why, for good reason. There's so much cool stuff out there that you can do. And then we live in this, endless echo chamber where you get on social media and you're in all these groups and everyone's talking about the next cool thing, whether it's AI or some new technology or some new way of doing things or some new product or innovation or whatever. And then we jump towards that. Mentally, at least, we jump towards that. How could I do that? How could I do that? How could I do that? And you realize you're just kind of bouncing around after a while, expending so much mental energy, but not really allowing anything to ever take root. The best businesses, and these are always my favorite questions. We've asked these questions no matter what level of success you reach in this business. Whenever you see somebody who has a really great dialed-in business, you're still always asking, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And you're almost never surprised by the answer.
No.
Or if you're surprised with how simple it is.
You're actually, aren't you more disappointed?
You're always disappointed.
Right?
Yes.
Because you go see someone who like they're just making millions, or their life just seems so unreachable of what they're doing. You're like, how did you get there? And they just give you this.
I don't really even
They're
know.
like, I just did this and that's it. And I'm really not that smart. And I just showed up every day. And you're like, wait, what?
I'm becoming more and more convinced that for the majority of us, the way to actually having those types of life is using whatever your inherent talent is to the point where you can afford to hire other humans and then have them take you to the finish line. Because I have yet to see the type of person who can answer that question the way that you just said, because I've told you guys this. I've asked this question a million times and I'm always disappointed with the answer because it's so simple. It's usually something that I have complete access and the ability to do, right? And I'll find a way to talk my way out of it. But I think one of the things that like is really cool, we could name a lot of guys. We've even had them on the podcast who are not, for lack of a better word, that impressive in their way they speak, in their idea thought process. They were just super consistent, super tenacious. That made them money until they could start implementing leverage that then kind of took their lack of ability out of the equation.
We also, as to say, no,
Auschwitz.
that was
Whoa.
weird. Also know people that I think we would all agree are highly intellectually gifted that don't get a lot done.
That don't
Yes.
get anything done.
Well,
Yeah.
because look, and that's something, if you go into that next slide, Jesse, it's about taking action. And what is one way, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quadrants here on that one, of how you can simplify each area of your life. And you start looking at this, like, number one, and like this is real estate. This is a real estate show. So we're going to talk business, but in life, or relationships or finances, in my world, my finances are so complicated that's also why I want simplification.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was talking to Heather the other day, And there's some days I'm like, I don't even know how much I make because we have income coming in from so many different businesses. And that's, look, first world problems. That
Humble
sounds
brag.
great. Yeah. Humble brag.
You can have that same problem and not have many sources of income.
Sure.
You could be just as confused and make no money.
That's
right?
true.
Right.
And it's,
I've done it.
and and it's hard to wrap around, like, again, how to plan out, because you're trying to sit down and figure out, all right, I have this bucket coming here, but it doesn't always pay this amount. I've got this one here, and then you're trying to wrap your brain around this of trying to build a budget.
Yep.
And then it's like, man, this shit is so complex or so complicated that you just go into this kind of fog brain, and you shut down. You're like, just screw it. If there's money in the account, then it's all good.
It's fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Or in your relationships, when you get, you see on Facebook, people move from a single to complicated, or married to complicated, or whatever,
or single to somebody and then right back to single. And you're like,
Yes.
damn, you announced that and killed it quick.
Yes. Yeah. Or like in your business, it's like, hey, I want to do this, and I'm going to bring on this partner, and I want to do this, or I want to do that.
Yeah.
But they can't, you can't do it on a one page. It's got to be like, it's like, I used the analogy on the team meeting the other day. It's like going to Cheesecake Factory when you're super hungry and you're going through 400 pages and you're starting to get frustrated because you got the table waiting on you. They made their decision somehow because they knew what they're going to get, but you're so freaking hungry. And then the waiter comes multiple times, like, you ready? You ready? You ready? And you're like, fuck it. I'm just going to have the Caesar salad. I don't really want it, but that's what I'm going to get.
It's safe.
And it's so complicated, but you see a lot of these other restaurants that do really well, and they have one menu, one page.
That's it.
Yep. And you just get to pick from that, and you know what you're going to get. And somehow that business thrives, and the people are happy and everything else. It's like in business, that's the one pager. That's the reason why they say, if you can't put it on one page, then it's too complicated.
It's so difficult to find that. I think the reason entrepreneurship is such a barrier to figuring that out is because at first you don't know what you don't know. The risk is so high. The amount of time is so low. You've got to start making money somewhat quickly. And then, like real estate agents, the real estate agent equivalent of scatter shooting is the agent who does leases, who does buyers, who will drive in our market 100 miles, right? I know there's somewhere that's normal, but I'm saying in our market, that wouldn't be normal. Driving 3 markets over, a whole MLS over to take a deal, right? Like, those are the agents who are never able to simplify their business because they're scatter shooting to pay bills, right?
Yeah.
And they can never get dialed in.
And even to that point, right? Like a lot of people get in the weeds because, like you talked about before, like partnering or hiring or leveraging the people that are experts in the things that you're not. We try to do everything ourselves, and we're not experts in most things, and we're complicating things. We haven't even perfected the simple stuff yet, right? Because that's not to say the antithesis or like the exact opposite is true. Like, I'm all for people having multiple streams of income and multiple businesses and all that type of stuff, right? Where I think people get in the weeds is that all becomes very complicated because they don't do the same thing for a lot of their businesses. Like, we run several different businesses, but I consider, like, my role in every single business, I do the same thing in every single one of them.
Yes.
Like, how do you build the systems? I don't care if it's like, a t-shirt company, like I say, or a real estate company. It's like, how does, when the leads come in, how do we turn them into money? Like, by the way, that ends up being almost the exact same no matter what you're selling, and so you can do that and replicate that hundreds of times. That's why you see these entrepreneurs that have like 30 businesses. You're like, how do they do this? Like, because they do the same thing for every single business. But we get all these ideas and get down these rabbit holes, but we don't partner with the right people and leverage ourselves so that we are not that jack of all trades. I am involved in several different businesses, but I'm not a jack of all trades. I mostly don't know how to do things. I know how to do a couple things well, and that's the only thing I do for every one of our businesses. And I think that translates to real estate sales really well, because if you're not doing the dollar productive activities, you get spread so thin, especially when we're in a day and age where everything seems like the next cool thing. And you just get so distracted.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think that is the reason why it's number one, is just simplification of anything in general. And
nothing matters if you're not going to do something. Yeah. Like, you have to do something for everything else to even happen. Yes. And that's number one, is always going to be take action. 100%.
Yes, I love it.
Consistent action.
And number two, this is something that rule number two is focus on what you can control, right? And yeah, and
stink at this so bad.
I go back, like, there's days and months and sometimes a year or two that I'm really, really good at this, where it's like, and then there's others where, like, the when your anxiety starts kicking in, and you're like, all right, I'm only going to focus on the controllables, right? And that's my mind, and I can't control other people. I can't control the outcome, but I can just, whatever that may be. But, you can control how you think. You can control how you use your time. You can control who influences you or how you use your money, right? So think, time, who, money. And this is huge because a lot of this is we think that, and there's another portion in these rules I don't want to jump ahead on, but, this victim mindset mentality where we start blaming others. And it's like, well, we can control who influences us, right? We're in control of who we hang out with, what information we consume. That is us controlling that, right? If I part ways with money, that I can control whether I spend money or not, right?
Yeah.
So I can't be upset if I'm broke because I'm the one who spent all the money.
Yep. Isn't it interesting? And you guys can probably relate with this, like as you do personal work, how these things unfold differently. Because as I look at the 4 controls that are on that list, the who influences me, I have that dialed in. My life is only people who matter and are going to pour in and are going to move me and mine forward. And I can concerned about moving them and theirs forward, right? The how you think, got pretty good control over that, but definitely still some like faults. But when you throw in the how do you use your money and how to use your time, the real world 3D aspect of this that comes out of my brain, 0 control. My time is the hardest thing for me to control. I spend so much time glancing around, trying to figure something out, fixing something that's not the main priority, right? Like, and then how do I spend my money, right? Like, that's always, I've been vlogging about that for years. How I spend my money has always been a bugaboo.
One thing I think about on that is it because we go back to rule number 1 already of simplification that it's, we work hard for a reason. Do we work hard because we want to, do we work hard? We work hard to earn money so that we can go buy things for ourselves, right? Because as children, what do we want? We always want stuff. Right. And so then we're just older versions of that child that was growing up that your parents like, no, we can't afford that. No, we're not going to have that. And you're like, you know what? When I start making money, I'm going to buy all this shit. Yeah. and now we're kind
definitely an aspect.
Yeah. Now we're in that same spot.
House is going to be whatever temperature I want.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And now we're in that spot of like, I worked my butt off. I deserve to get this. And at the same time, trying to invest your money right now or make your money, it's boring. It may seem complicated, it may seem hard.
Yeah.
And we don't know who to follow on that. And so it's just easier to blame, to blame other people and be like, well, I don't have any money because I just spent all this. And
I want to give Brian a little credit for this, and I want him to say what he was to say. But Jesse and I were just at lunch, and I have a perfect example of this. When we were doing the vlog a couple of years ago, and what we were saying on screen was just starting to become into practice. I had an actual opportunity to look at what I've invested in the S&P, which I will give full credit to Brian Force on this. I would have never in a million years spent any time or money on that. I am up 18% on my investment in that over a 24-month span, maybe let's call it 30 months, whatever, right? My point being was like, I allowed the people who influenced me to help me make better decisions, which provided me with, a month and a half nest egg that's just sitting there that isn't going to do anything. It's not a significant amount of money, but it would have never been there otherwise. And I think that's how number 2 starts affecting number 4, because I look at that list and I see 4. If I can't do any of those things, I see 4 things that are impossible for me to do right now.
Yeah.
But what I did first was I allowed somebody to influence me whose opinion around a subject I respected. And then I put into action that advice they gave me. And then I just left it alone, which that is the consistency in that action, right? Is just leaving it alone. And now there's real money there. And some of it isn't even mine. I didn't make it. It just showed up because I left my money sitting.
A lot of it is,
right?
Dude. Well, I appreciate that, brother. I'm glad you've kept up with it for sure. You said something that I just want to harp on for a second before we get on to number 3, though. Like you talked about, controlling what we can control. And you said something about like our thoughts and things like that. I always like to try and do some actionable stuff. Like, when we talk about the things you can't control, the one thing that makes it difficult, I think, to not like do the blame game. I've spent a lot of my life in my down times, the ups and downs in the down times in blame mode, right? Like I don't deserve this, and I did what I was supposed to do, and all that type of stuff, right? And like I've realized over the past, this entire market shift and how difficult things have been for the last however long, and just the real estate space in general. It's so easy to do that when you're not really taking care of your thoughts on a daily basis. If there's like one actionable thing I give anybody is like, you do have the ability to control your own thoughts, But that's an ability that you have to refine over time. Like, I know that the one thing that I can control every day that I think has given me so much peace in my life is like, I know that I can make a conscious choice to do like my breath work every day and do like that type of stuff. And I tell you, it doesn't make a difference right away. It's something that you do have to commit to. But I promise you, if you spend 10 minutes a day just doing that, which you absolutely can control, you'd be amazed at how that shows up in different aspects of your life that you really can take action on. And I think today is a great example. I have 0 cars in my family right now. I have no idea what I'm doing after this. Like 0. But like, I walked outside and I just wanted to make sure the kids were okay. And like, even the cops were like so like befuddled that I just wasn't even upset about it. I was like, dude, like this shit happens, man. Like, you know, figure it out. But like, if I let that infect my mind and just let it just take me down, like I got a lot of shit I got to do today. I can't be bent out on this. I got to get back to work and all that.
Be here for the show.
I got to make the show, you know. But I think that only happens because I do make sure that every morning I'm just like slowing it down a little bit, doing my breath work, doing my meditation, and you'd be amazed at how you can get through the day so much more productively.
Yeah, and it goes back to in that top part, taking action. Like, where can you simplify? If you're doing your breath work every day, right? It helps calm you down, right? So it's probably good for your health or blood pressure, right? And then that probably is a domino into having better relationships with your wife, right? Then that's a domino of all right, hopefully better in business or more consistent business, and then business is up, and then that dominoes into, you know, better finances.
Circle of life, right?
Exactly. And so rule number 3 on this is be the last to speak. And there's a lot of this that as I was going through and you know, sharing with our team on this is like, you know, 20-something-year-old Nick had to learn all these. 20-something-year-old Nick was very had no filter. Definitely was not the last to speak. Would just run all over you, and just out of just sheer, you know, aggressiveness, would just find a way to get it done. Not always pretty. A lot of dead bodies behind me, and not a lot of allies on my side at that time. And it wasn't even coming from a understanding, seeking to understand. So it's listen first. You know, take notes. You know, 20-year-old. Yes, Corey, you're right. Corey Mills, 20-year-old something. Nick was.
He doesn't have the gray wolf though.
Mills just doing bits.
But you know, listen first, take notes, ask questions, and keep emotions at bay. And this is, again, from a business purpose. You know, number one, we're going to use it business, and then in personal, business wise, like you're sitting across the table at a listing appointment. Yeah. That's huge, because I've actually I've seen agents on listing appointments where they don't listen, or they talk over, or they just completely disregard what someone said. And then, you know, just like a script went down to the next part, and they dropped some emotional, landmine on the table there. And it's like, well, we're not even going to acknowledge that. And we're just moving on. Well, next page.
That's certain people on the disc chart just don't match up.
Yes.
I think like, look, there's 4 personalities. You are one of them. There are 2 you're going to be able to jam with, and there's 1 that you are going to drop the ball on almost all the time. That's been my experience, right? Like, there's always like one personality trait. Like, I know D's are going to sell me all day long, right? Like, I'm going to get, like, if you have the time to explain it to my high I ass, I'm going to buy it, right? But there are certain personality types who I'm like, I can't handle their methodical process or whatever, right? It feels exactly like that, because we talk about the emotional thing at the bottom, right? I can do all of them very well, but I'll reach a point in the conversation where I'm just like, I don't understand why you haven't signed this paperwork, because I feel like we've talked about everything.
Yeah, we've had a great conversation. Like, I'm ready to move in.
I'm the exact opposite. I'm overly emotional about it, right? Like,
but think about this, keeping emotions at bay. I'm sure we've all done this. Like, again, we've all been at maybe a disagreement, not a fight, but a disagreement with our spouses. And you know it's coming. And you've had that fight in your head.
You've already rehearsed.
Yeah. You're like, you've scripted this out. You're like, she says this, I'm going to say that, and I'm just going to counter this. I got this. Right. And then you get into it, and your emotions just take over, and the game plan just goes to shit. Right. And, you know, that's something that, again, I think this is a very a trait that you have to learn and master. And you do that, and you become, I think, really good at sales.
Yes.
How do you, and I'll ask you a real practical question because I think it's really easy to relate it to our spouse who we know inside and out. I think it is very difficult to do when somebody picks up the phone, they just start throwing anger at you, right? Like it is a little bit, and I'm not saying like that's a reason not to do it. I'm just like, that is a different skill set, because with Victoria and I are just coming off of this, right? Like where we had like this whole breakdown of a situation and like, let's talk about it. And you go into it kind of thinking like, what you're going to say. And then the person says something else. You're like, shit, my thing doesn't fit that. I was going in with venom. You said something soft. Now I'm in disarray, right? And I'm not, maybe it's a rhetorical question, but I do think it's so much different in real estate because we do have this business relationship with people. I have managed to get much better at keeping the emotions out of it, but it was very, very hard for the longest time because my confusion would cause emotions to set in because I just didn't know what to say next.
Yeah. I mean, look, usually it's emotional. Sometimes the agents get, they rile up emotions, I think, too much, or they treat it like their own house. But usually, like, look, you're dealing, especially on the seller side, you're dealing with situations that, they're, like you said, they're going to come at you. Like you're dealing with their finances, and usually they're going to take out their aggression and frustrations. And so, something I learned to do way back when is you can't fight fire with fire.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's
you can.
Well, I used to.
You
but
shouldn't.
Again, 20 something year old Nick would, and there wasn't a lot of referrals. The deal would close. They didn't want you to show up to closing. But again, if you listen first, take notes, and ask questions on it, you can. Yeah. Usually, when someone's coming at you heated, you're going to find the root cause of what's going on.
Well, and that's kind of like where I was rounding to. If you do those first three things, the emotions do get taken out of it, right? Because you are able to combat that conversation at a much higher level. If you understand, if you are listening and you are taking notes and you are jotting things down, you can come back to those conversations and realign them when, like you said, they're obviously angry and upset and frustrated.
I love this other part of it, right? Like ask questions, listen first, take notes, keep emotions at bay, right? Like when you're talking about those situations, it's so hard in practice, but if you can step back and have the awareness around it and just practice a little bit of time, like you have to remember, like fire needs fuel. Normally when somebody's heated at you, it's like they know that they are, and unconsciously they need you to be at their level for them to keep going. When you're not at their level, that's honestly what calms people down more than anything. People start to have that self-awareness creep in of like, I'm the only person yelling here. Like really quickly.
I know we're only 3 into these and we're trying to get through them, but Hormozy just posted a reel about him. I don't know if you've noticed his content has completely changed, but it's really good. But Alex Hormozy just posted a reel and he was talking about a story. Him and his wife were walking down the Vegas Strip and bumped into just some random Vegas person. And the guy looked at her and he's like, won't you get out of the way, you pretty bee? Right? And he like said it to her, right? And Hormozy's a huge guy. To his wife in front of him, right? Which, by the way, he's an influencer. He did the right thing and just kept it moving.
Right. He's also
yoked, super, right? But the point he was trying to make was it's only an insult if you take it that way. Because what his wife's reaction was, oh my God, I'm pretty, right? She didn't focus on the B part, right? She focused on the pretty part. And I think this is exactly with that. If you recognize the fact that a lot of this emotion is misplaced, it's easy to keep your emotions at bay when everything's not an insult. That's right. Really, and sometimes clients are just emotional. And if you don't take offense to it, there's just nothing to be upset about.
Yeah.
Well, and we still can fall, like, even knowing these, like, there's like a lot of times if I'm coming from, usually I think before I speak, right? That's something I practice very, very hard. And then we fall back into our old traps at times. Like, I took some aggression out on Brian, what was it, a month ago?
Something like that.
And Brian actually did the same thing. I mean, I was yelling. I was cursing and yelling and cursing some more. And Brian didn't push it back, maybe once.
A little bit, barely.
But at the same time, he kept it calm, cool, and collected. And what did it do?
I just pictured a fight between the two of you being the most logical fucking discussion in the world. I was just sitting there and I was like, what?
It was the ending definitely was. I'm like, look, I'm sorry. I love you.
That's exactly.
I took this anger and aggression out on you, and we're going to kick ass in business.
Yeah.
And that was it.
It's a very loud chess match.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah. And I have a bigger chest. But you did. You took the wind out of the sails. If you would have fought back on that, then it would just kept it going. Sure. And then there's no reason to do so. So, that think about it. That's if you have the power, you have the upper hand on that. So, if you're into that kind of stuff, then just stay calm, cool, and collected, and you're gonna have the upper hand. So
I love you too, brother.
Yes. So rule number 4: see failure as being closer to success. Right. So, one thing if we talk about and we go back to reading that Reddit report, I think that was Jesse who wrote that. He's going to go back.
Where's Jesse getting all his Reddit hate today?
That's because I saw him pull Reddit one time.
One time. Looking at soccer stuff.
Yeah, he's a master Redditor.
I love it.
And so, about, should she go to teaching or nursing or whatever, but how do we apply this to prospecting? How can each no get you closer to the yes?
Right.
And then how can you apply this to projects? What can you learn from a failed project? And you've said it on the show so many times. Like, if you're a baseball player and you bat 300, so that means, 3 out of 10 times you're getting on base.
Yeah.
You're a Hall of Fame player.
Yeah.
Right. That means 7 times you failed. In school, you're not passing, by the way. If you get 3 out of 10 right, you're getting held back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So and we treat these no's as like it's going to crush our business. Man, that person said no. Definitely not making any money ever again.
Well, it really parlays well. From the stats standpoint, like it's even crazier in real estate. Like I've drawn out the math problem so many times. Like you can fail 99% in real estate and still be a Hall of Famer. So, but with that comes understanding and having the awareness of failing 99% of the time and just being okay with that. So I like the order that these are in because this goes back to number 3 of like what you can control. One of the reasons we have such difficulty with burnout in this industry is because we can understand logically like the idea of only needing to close 3% of your prospects or whatever it is, conversations or things like that. And we know what the numbers look like if we do that. I do like the FSBO problem a lot, right? Where like you can go on certain FSBO appointments and fail 90% of the time and still make $300,000 a year and all that type of stuff, right? Like the numbers are there. And when we're just sitting, talking, or maybe listening in a class or something like that, we can accept that. When we're sitting at the table or we're having the conversation and we thought we were going to get it and we don't, it's so hard because that dopamine hit that we thought we were going to get doesn't happen. And then we revert back to this emotional regression of like, I didn't get the thing I wanted.
Yes.
And it's so hard to control your emotions there, right? But if you can just be okay, and this takes a lot of time, be okay with this is getting me to where I want to go. Failure is part of it. Knowing that, it's like the most empowering thing in the world.
I was about to say, failure's the best part on the other side of failure.
Yes.
The failure is absolutely debilitatingly, I'm going to quit. Nobody loves me. And on the other side of it, you're a most unstoppable wrecking ball possible because you understand that what you thought was failure is actually just your own bullshit. Almost 90%. Not saying you can't fail because of other people or anything, but like it is almost always you realize like I had the ability the whole time.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad 100%. I saw that.
And you learn more from that than the wins, right? Like you ask someone, again, we asked someone successful who never really, most successful people had a lot of failures. But, every now and again, maybe there's a guy, lightning strikes in a bottle. Made an app and it's just right time, right place. And they can't explain how they caught momentum, just happened.
Yeah.
Right. But you learn more from your failures. And that's something that in this business, in the real estate business, is every time that I went on a listing appointment that I didn't get, and I lost a lot of them, I would always ask, what did the other person do that I didn't do? Was there something that I did not effectively, show my value? Maybe I didn't explain it properly. Did I not connect properly? There was one time I didn't connect with, I think it was the wife, right? And not on purpose, just the husband did all the talking.
Yeah.
And I just didn't acknowledge her.
She was like the silent decision.
Yes.
You are not a mature business owner if you can't ask that question. Yes. I think that is one of the most defining things. I lost the listing to EA one time. Yep. And it was because she connected. It was a female seller. She connected with that woman better. There were probably other reasons, but that lady specifically told me I just connected with her better.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot you can do about that.
Nope.
It also is a relief to find out the presentation's good, the words are good. You just don't have a mom who went through the same thing as that lady. So how could you speak to that life experience?
But that also makes me mad because I'm like, oh, like I had to go through the same shit in order.
It sucks, but here's the thing: is I've been on this. This is where both of you guys are high D's. My high IS. When I'm presented with the exact same person, I need a defining thing, and that personal connection is the defining factor.
Yeah, usually. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But the chameleon salesperson be like, yeah, I went through the same thing.
Yeah. No, I know.
Yeah.
I missed it.
Exactly.
My mom too.
Yeah. Rule number 5. This one I like. Ask yourself first, am I the problem? Right. It's a radical application of emotional awareness. And instead of putting the blame elsewhere, we look internally. And this is, we know, one, I don't think any of us do this. Like maybe we did in the beginning, like when we're younger. And I think younger people do this in terms of it's everyone else's problem or fault and not mine. Like, I know friends who
not just younger people.
Yeah, I know friends who maybe lost their jobs or got laid off, and they're like, that person's an idiot. Those people are dumb. And I'm like, well, you've been laid off 5 times. There's a common denominator there. And these are 5 different jobs with 5 different sets of people.
I'll say the same thing about you.
Yes. And so,
He's on a roll today.
Yeah, Corey's got it. Whatever he's drinking, we want it on this. But there's a book that I read back in 2020 called "If How-Tos Were Easy, We Would All Be Skinny, Rich, and Happy," and it talks about in there. It's one of 2 books that I keep with me really all the time. Yeah. And in that book, it talks about even if there is a situation that and even if there's a situation that really you could be a victim and place blame at someone else or whatever the situation is, we actually all are to blame at times too, right? Because we all make many micro decisions that lead to the micro results that we got where we were.
Yep.
Right. And that was a huge wake up call, because I've been in stuff where I'm like, man, I didn't do this or I didn't do that. I lost money. Yeah. I'm like, I'm the one who put myself in that situation to lose money.
100%.
To brought this person in and they did this, and that was at my decision.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, this transcends well beyond real estate and salespeople. This is human people. I would venture to guess that less than 5% of humanity has ever just sat with themselves and asked the question, "Are they the problem?"
and done anything about it?
Yeah, and really done it. And go ahead.
I was gonna say, and that's the thing, is actually do something about it.
Yeah. Yep. And that's the second part of it, right? And I think because we don't want to do the second part of it, we normally don't do the first. And when you see this, I use fitness a lot just because I think it's the most visible thing. But like, how many we train each other to do this, by the way. And so this comes down to the circle that you surround yourself with. But like, how many people, we do this over the holidays a lot. We're like, I was going to get back in the gym, but then like I got so busy and everybody was sending me cookies and stuff. I was like, yeah, you're the problem.
Yes.
You need to make time and not eat like shit. Like you're training your head and your mind to blame all these external factors. We do this in a lot of things, but we are inherently supportive as humans. I think we're apparently supportive species of like our own circle, but we do it to the detriment of ourselves sometimes. We just think that supportive is just saying what people want to hear. So like the person that got laid off 5 times, a lot of times they have a circle of like, man, you just keep getting so unlucky. You just want to try to help and support, when the reality is like a really great human colleague and compadre would say like, I love you so much and you fucking suck at your job. You are not doing like
exactly
right. Yeah. Like, and you are 50 pounds overweight and continue to complain about all these other things. I love you and I don't want you to end up dying early. You've got to change because you're the problem. And like, not maybe that harsh.
Well, I mean,
I think that's
I think so. Jesse, pull the next slide up, because it's about taking action as well, right? So if you take action and if you pull this up, Jesse, so they can see it, is like, this parlays into what Brian was saying. First off, think about an area in your life that is frustrating you right now. If those around you aren't communicating well, could you be causing the issue, right? If there are fights or disagreements in a relationship, could you be the one causing them? If you're having energy or health issues, could your choices be causing them, and good or bad?
Yeah.
Right. The good news is you are the problem and you can control the situation. So no matter what, if you're in an unhealthy and toxic relationship, guess what? That person is not holding you hostage. And if they are, then you need to go seek help anyway. You need to probably do that. But at the same time, you can leave.
Yeah.
You know, if you're in a bad business relationship, you can leave. If you're not healthy, you can make those changes.
Yeah.
Right. If your financial situation isn't where you want it to be, guess what? You know, you can easily make that change. It feels like you can't.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a buddy the other day about, actually right after the team meeting on Tuesday, about this. And I was like, everyone's iceberg is the same, right? It's just how much is showing above the water, and then how much is below surface level that we can see, or everyone else can see, or we can't see, or whatever. And so, like, the number one thing is that we are the problem. We can find the solution, so we can make that change and put ourselves into better situations, and we can control that.
I think we all know people. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think we all know people. Like, we all know people in our lives that have never been wrong about anything. Right? Like, we just do. And I think we all know people in our lives that we have great respect for, because we view them as like open-minded and humble and stuff. And I think we all realize that, like, the level of seemingly satisfaction in their lives is night and day. The people that have never been wrong about anything, I find, are some of the most miserable people in my life. And I think that if you're going to practice a skill to make this actionable, you got to practice being able to say the 3 magic words, the most freeing words in existence, which are "I fucked up." If you can't say that every once in a while, you're going to be the smartest, most miserable person on earth.
Yeah. Number 5 should have been number 1 for me, right? Like, this is easily the thing. Like, maybe taking action is a little bit more important, but
I think taking action on all this
of it is
right?
important. But
And
this is this one in entrepreneurship is the easiest one to get bogged down in, I think.
Well, and the good news, or, you know, just in general, this is not a 1 through 10 that you follow the steps.
No,
this is you picking, all right, this is where I need the most work on right now, or this is where I think that, like, for me, you know, for a lot of people, simplification may already be there. Right?
I've said this in vlogs before. I love the ability to blame another human for my problems. Like, I like it. It feels okay. It feels good. It takes the onus off of me. I don't have to worry about what I did wrong if you did everything wrong, right? Like, it's a really comforting, shitty feeling that a lot of us embrace. And I think it's really easy in entrepreneurship, in a space where maybe you don't have all the answers yet, to just assume that that's what's happening to you, right?
Well, and it can also be like, look, a lot of agents, like, I go and look at their reports, their business is so far down from last year. And then, you know, what is it? The market, the economy, this and that. I'm like, okay, like, you're right, but that you can work through that, right? You know, the number one thing is, like, you have to, you know, money changes hands when problems are solved. We've heard it so many freaking times on here now, is that you didn't go seek the solutions. Yeah. Right.
You're blaming the market being down, but that's only because you probably don't look at your activities and notice that they're way down as well.
Yeah, and in order for people to have up years, people have to have down years, right? And so it's like, you just have to choose which person you're going to be in this scenario.
100%.
Exactly. Rule number 6 is stay humble, right? Humility helps develop a kinder approach to interacting with others. It influences how you perceive yourself, influences how you perceive the world. And, you know, I think a lot of us in the real estate industry had to learn humility.
Yeah.
These two go hand in hand, 5 and 6.
Yeah, they really do.
Right. They, you know, I remember, again, I don't know how mine developed. You know, it wasn't because I hit a rock bottom spot. Like, I didn't need to eat humble pie. Mine was a leadership journey on that to understand, but it was more like, you know, again, 20-something-year-old Nick had the ego, like, you know, fuck everyone else. You know, I'm going to just put it on the shoulders. I'm going to run through this wall. Again, dead bodies over there. I didn't care to make friends. And the few that I had, maybe they weren't really friends at the time, because I thought they were just trying to figure out how I was running my business. So, you know, you kind of give them some misinformation, and it just
shown last year's playbook. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, I don't know, like, we just seen so many people that have this ego to them, and it almost is like out of this lack of confidence.
They win. Here's the thing I will say: the people with the ego that also have the personality, they win. Right. And I think the biggest thing about this staying humble is who cares? Right. Because I have spent time with people on this podcast ever sitting across from him being like, this person is a moron. There is nothing they are doing.
Wait, I'm the one sitting across from you.
It's true. Yeah, you guys don't know. I mean, but like I've said it, and it's like, this is not that. And then you kind of want to hate on them, and then you go look at their stuff, and you're like, why? Like, it is really easy. And that may not seem like it's a part of being humble, but it is, because if you don't pocket watch other people and look at somebody else's social media's 2024 version of pocket watching, like if you don't care what they do, or you look to them for influence or ideas, it will completely change how you approach this thing.
You know what's so funny is that it's like, I'm so glad that you had that perspective, because it's almost exactly what I was going to say. Is I actually see humility in two different prisms. There's the
I thought you said prison.
No, two different. It's like two different perspectives on that. Are like the ego part of it, which is like your swagger, who you are, right? Like, be humble in that regard. That's like way less important to me as a human. Just if you want to be a cocky asshole, but you can back it up, it's kind of up to me.
I can't really say shit on it. If I say anything, I look like a clown.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you talk shit to me and then back it up, and then I talk smack about you, I'm the joker of this.
Very much. It's like, it's up to me not to be bothered by that. Yeah. So, right. Like, I think that's a very emotionally immature thing, is to like get upset when other people are kind of arrogant and cocky, like
winning.
Yeah. And doing well. It's like, you know, this happens a lot in combat sports, you know, like the Conor McGregor types of the world. Like, if you hate that dude, like, I don't think he's a good person probably, but like, he's not keeping me up at night, right? Like, let it go. The opposite is what you were just talking about, was like, where you really need to be humble is in your silent judgment of others, like your silent hating of people. That's an ego part that only belongs to you and no one else. That's the part of you that sees stuff online and people succeeding, and you automatically think like, you know, what do they have? Like, what advantage do they have? Like, it couldn't really be, like, it's probably fake or whatever, you know, like, it's the part of you that doesn't get excited for other people's success, but it happens in here and in here. It's like, you're not humble in your own skin, you know. Have as much swagger as you want, that's great, but like, the humility aspect is how you view other people's success. That'll like rot your mind if you don't allow that to just be happy for people. Other people's success should get you excited about what's possible, even if you don't like that person. I mean, realistically, right? Like, the person you're talking to sitting across from the podcast, you're like, this person's a moron. That should be energizing. Like, this fucking idiot can do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Again, it's the simplification, right? They simplified it
and took action.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I want to combine rule 7 and rule number 7 and rule number 8 on this one, right? Rule 7 is help your neighbor and help your enemy.
Yeah.
Right. So who are your neighbors and who are your enemies? And if we kind of roll this in, you know, from an holding on point, rule number 8.
I like how the slide you use it. This is just a gentle older person.
It's like diet Mr.
Just
Rogers.
Yeah.
Yes.
But here's the thing: is this guy could be a nice neighbor. He could also be starting shit.
He could be.
Yeah.
You don't know. He might have a room that, you know, it just
he's just sitting there with his orange sweater and his collar sticking out.
Yeah, he's got the deck.
This guy is absolutely going to call the cops next time I'm loud.
Exactly. Rule 7 of this is forgive regardless of an apology, right? So what are you holding on to that should be forgiven, and what does someone need to do to deserve? What does someone need to do to deserve an apology? And so if you kind of look how that kind of goes hand in hand, 7 and 8. That's why, you know, I want to combine this is helping your neighbor. Like, you should help your neighbors. You know, you should help you know, the help on the real estate side, the betterment of the community and real estate community, to make sure that, look, we got a lot of shit going on. You know, perception is really low right now of the real estate industry and everything else, and we're being under attack. And so if you're helping your fellow agents, right? I saw a post the other day, and I think it was in Lab Coats, about someone talking about what's the average going commission rate in your market, and then people just shitting all over
this, destroying people.
Yes,
like,
that's why I left. I will tell you, your lives will be so much better when you leave them.
Yeah,
they're so great when you're not in them anymore.
Yeah. And but at the same time, they're not helping their neighbor.
No,
right? Like,
they're withholding information, like old Nick.
Yes, exactly. It's misinformation.
The information is, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
just go work.
And then help your enemy. Like, how many times have you know, helping your enemy, like, kind of is an eye opener for the other person. Like, man, I thought that person really didn't like me.
Yeah.
And they went out of their way to do this. Like, maybe that person isn't an asshole.
Yeah.
This is such a timely thing, just because the last 18 to 24 months of this industry have brought out so many.
A lot of hate on Brian.
Yeah, sure, 100%. No, just so many practical applications for things that are just normally just some top 10 list of things that don't come up a lot. Like there's been a lot of turmoil in this business and this world and all that type of stuff in general, and these have been very present in a lot of our lives.
I think it just keeps your hula hoop clean.
100%.
Here's what number 7 does. It just keeps your circle clean. In a world where there are circles stacked on top of circles and everybody is right next to you, all you can do is maintain your own crap. And if you know that you handled not just your friends, but your enemies properly, you can move forward without having to worry about something popping up from text message, without a video popping up, which I yelled at an old guy in the car and he was recording me, so I might go viral. But but he had it coming. He ran through it. He ran through a children's intersection.
Oh, geez.
A school zone.
Oh.
He was doing 45 miles an hour, laying on his horn like a madman.
It'll be on somebody's next door.
It will be.
Yeah. So you're
Frisco
next
door,
the
I'm
hero.
sure.
So and then forget, that rule 8, forgive regardless of apology. How many times have you seen people just hold on to grudges? Yeah. And at the point where they even forget why the grudge is still being held on to.
I'll give a personal experience on this. I like to be apologized to in a way that I hear the words I want to hear, which is my red flag for sure. Like I don't think this is a good thing. Be willing to accept however the apology is delivered. Like for some people, that apology doesn't look like some giant fawning all over you type of situation, making you feel like you were right, because that's really what I'm looking for an apology. Yeah. I'm looking for rightness, right? Yeah. And allow that person to apologize or meet you, again, if they're willing to do it in the way that they seem fit, and don't try and form fit that to how you want an apology, because that is very real and recent for me, and I need to be better.
So it can't be like, Matt, I'm so sorry that you got offended and hurt by the words that I said.
I hate an apology. I hate an apology that says, Matt, I'm really, really sorry, but here's why I did this.
Yes.
Do you might as well just not even apologize?
It's just pushing that knife in.
Just zip
it's like they pulled it out just a little bit and they like just shoved it off.
And but here's the thing is, I have to admit, every time I fly off the handle far enough to need to apologize to somebody, there's usually an explanation needed behind it.
Yes.
So I'll sideline my hypocritical.
Well, part of this is and Jesse, you can pull this quote up on it by St. Augustine. Resentment is like taking poison and waiting for the other person to.
This is so good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes,
like that is holding on to the grudge. It's like, you're the one still thinking about it. You're the one that's stewing on it. That's letting that stress just fester up inside of you.
And social media will make this worse, by the way. When you can go see the other person moving on, doing something, you'll sit there and refresh that damn screen just to make yourself feel justified in your anger and deceit.
It's these things are so, interconnected. This goes back to the ego and humility thing, right? Like this is a form of not being humble, is the expectation that the world should operate in the way that you need it to be comfortable, right? Somebody not apologizing to you and you hold on to that. Like that person has now lived rent-free in your head because of your lack of humility. If you just allowed the world to be this crazy place where 7 or 8 billion people live in this crazy universe where we're not even a dot on the radar, you just let some of that shit go. Yeah. You're so freeing, you know?
Rule 9, Jesse, on this, as we respect people's time and our time on this, is give till it hurts.
This was my favorite one.
Generosity is not giving to your friend, by the way. It's giving to your enemy and being okay with it.
I like that this came up because I've said this on the show, and if we had all of this blogged and backlogged, I could tell you the episode. I have been terrible with my money my whole life. Not like these dudes sitting across from me who are very conservative and very planned with their money. I spend my money for Matt tomorrow. I also, and I'm not saying these guys don't, I give without a second thought. I give when I am broke. I give without any attention to myself. And I believe that is why random checks show up in my mail from insurance companies that have no business showing up. Random clients will call out of nowhere and say, hey, we're ready to sell. I fully believe my ability to give radically, not to church, not to anything, to people who I feel like need it and I feel compelled to give it to, is the reason my hand has stayed green despite my own efforts to stick it in the ground as many times as I have in my life.
I struggled with this. I just started, and I don't know. I think I had a mentality of, as we were growing and building our businesses, we didn't pay ourselves very much. I'm like, I didn't have anything to give per se. I've always kind of, relayed that to money, and then I'm like, I'm too busy, so I can't give my time. And so this is something that I have to give all the credit to Heather on. Heather is a giver, right? And she's a giver just like you, in terms of, even if she didn't have, she would give her last dollar. And I wouldn't. And so I've had to learn. This is something that I've had to learn, and it does not only just makes you feel really good, it's just the right thing to do.
100%. And it doesn't always have to be money. You've given, and you still do. All of us do, in many, many, many different ways.
Yes.
And again, I think all these things are really interconnected, because this goes back to, letting the world just be this crazy random place where things happen, not attaching your ego to it or your sense of justice or how things should be or all that type of stuff. We all know people like this. And I think that we've been doing, we're growing as adults. I like to think we're in our late 30s and 40s and middle age now. So I don't think that anybody here has that sense of rightness and justice anymore like we all did when we were younger. I know I certainly did as well. But I think that that's a cancer in our society. And we all know people like that things have to get their pound of flesh, right? Mm-hmm. And when we talk about giving, it's not just about money. It's about anything to make the world and your life and other people's lives run a little bit more smoothly. And I'll give you a great example, not to toot my own horn, but this is just very prevalent because it happened today, right? I did not get, my car got in a major accident today. I was very lucky to avoid it. And I pretty much knew that I was getting screwed right away, because the other person was being a little shifty about some things. And even the cops were a little concerned, but she had very good fake documents. Turns out she gave me very fraudulent insurance documents, which I had never been through this before, but I am now going through with my insurance company. Makes things way more complicated. Yep. So I talked to the police officer after I found it out. He has her info. He spoke with her. He called me back. And it's frustrating. And I know very many people in this world, and so do you guys, that were like, they would want to get their pound of flesh, press the charges, do all the things. This person wronged you, took your vehicle from you. I'm going to have to pay probably way more money now because it's an uninsured motorist claims, all this type of stuff. And he asked if I wanted to press charges. And obviously that does me no good.
Well, it doesn't fix your car.
It doesn't fix my car.
It doesn't pay for it.
It does nothing but make her life a little bit more miserable. But the sad part of the world we live in is that's enough for most people, a lot of people, I should say, to do that. And that's not me giving money, and not to toot my own horn, but that's an opportunity that you have to go, you know what? This person probably got screwed over by some fraudster and bought fake insurance, didn't even know it, just found out that she's going to have to pay for her own car because that's clearly not insured now. And I'm just now twisting the knife just to be cruel. I might as well move on.
Well, and that's the difference in thought process. So if we're using this as a real life example, which is, it sucks that you went through that. I'm sorry, but we're going to use it on the show. And thank you. I'm glad it happened that you can use it for today's topic. So thanks, Brian.
Good content.
Perfect timing. Thanks, lady who hit Brian's car.
Yes.
Let's serve up the true hero today.
We paid her a lot of money to do that. She doesn't have to worry. She's getting a new car. But a lot of people would go straight to the negative or the anger side and saying this person gave me fake insurance on purpose. Yeah. Right. They knew they were giving me fake insurance. And the cynic over there. Yeah. And Brian went with, oh, she was taken advantage of. This happens all the time, where people sell insurance cars for $700. She thought her car was insured. I feel bad for her. She has 3 children, however many children she has, and et cetera. And so you went to that route, which is obviously because, you practice the breathing treatments, you're a lot calmer.
We made a live video and my truck got stolen.
Yeah, right. Same thing. Right.
Use it for social media content.
And you were calm about it.
Yes,
again,
absolutely.
And it's control the controllable.
Yeah. It's the giving, because we talk about giving, we always go to money. And I just wanted to make that little actionable thing of the best giving you can do is the giving of grace. Yeah. If people gave 10% more fucking grace in their lives, this thing would be running like a well-oiled machine.
100%
believed it.
Rule number 10. We're wrapping up here because we're an hour and 4 in. So Make it happen and always show up. No one is coming to save your ass, Brian.
I thought
love
that was
the
a
Goggins
Matt
pick.
Kelderman quote.
I like to see that something that I blathered before I knew who David Goggins really was somewhat in alignment with what he said. Let's never underestimate the fact that sometimes our accidental thoughts are good thoughts when we hear them from people who we know are successful. That's a really great feeling. No one is coming to save you. Yeah. At the end of the day, there's a small amount of humans whose day-to-day lives you affect. Those people don't affect the world either. That is the unfortunate reality. If I died tomorrow, Victoria and the boys would have enough money to get through a few months maybe. And then at the end of that, Victoria would have to figure it out herself. And people who love me would love on her for a little bit, but eventually she'd have to figure your fucking shit out. Yeah. Right? At the end of the day, no one is coming to save you. Yeah. Do you think it is your requirement to save yourself?
Do you think this rule with rule number 5, which is the am I the problem? You think that kind of goes hand in hand to understand, like, once you kind of say, am I the problem, or and really analyze that, do you believe that then rule number 10 starts to get easier because you're like, no one's coming to save me?
I don't think it does. Okay. I think it's very easy to admit number 5 and stay in victimhood and then do nothing about the fact that nobody's coming to save you. And I think that is what happens to most people. Most people can intellectually understand they're on their own. That then launches them into a level of victimhood of why is nobody here to help me? Why am I not alone? That creates all kind of paralysis or franticness that causes you to just.
I marry the two together, which is like, all right, I am the problem. How do I change this? I know that, because no one's coming to help and save, that I'm going to have to be the one that shows up.
Yep.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I think you both do. It just depends on perspective.
Back against the wall, I think everybody does it.
Yeah.
In the middle of the ring, I think some people are like me, and they're willing to wait until it gets so bad that now they will start moving again and realize no one's coming to save them.
I think one of the reasons people struggle with number 10 so much is people don't have a real working definition of what it means to show up.
Yeah. No, that's true.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's especially in like real estate, where you have the freedom to be your own boss, if you want to believe that, or work from home, or all those types of things. Like we kind of put this very low bar of entry to what it means to show up. And I try to keep it really simple and like simple tactics and habits for me. I don't know if this works for everybody. I think one of the reasons that we've gone through a lot of ups and downs, and I've gone through a lot of ups and downs, but tend to find my way is like, I actually always physically show up. I really make a point of that. And I mean, and I just mean like I don't work from home, and that's like an actual physical thing. That's just the way my mind works. I get distracted like everybody else. I will make sure that even on days where like
today, you were back like today. We didn't think you'd be on the show. Like, we were
texting 4.5
hours ago. I was like, Brian, we got you. You don't need to show up. And he's like, all right, let me figure it out. I get here a little early today at the studio, and there's Brian in the office. I'm like, he's like, well, I mean, I don't have a car. I'm like, well, you still have a house.
Yeah.
Right. You can go home.
I was like, my stuff's all here. But like, I think that it's like this. I say this all the time. You go to the gym enough times, you're going to lift a weight. You go to the bar enough times, you're probably going to be a drunk.
Yep.
Right. So why not put yourself in a situation where even if you haven't quite figured out your way, your business plan or your KPIs or whatever, like find your physical way of showing up. And if you work from home, that can be very difficult. It's building your bunker. It's having the conversation with family. It's doing all those types of things. But I promise you, if you make a habit in 2024 and beyond of physically being present where you do work all the time, you're going to accidentally do some of the right things.
Well, and you could even take a little bit from like AA. Like if you go to, like you just said, if you go to the barbershop enough, you're going to get a haircut. If you go to the bar all the time, you're going to drink. If you want to stay sober, don't go to the bar. So flip this on its head. If you want to get work done, don't stay at home, right? Like this coin flips both ways, whether you need the positive reinforcement of, hey, the office is going to be productive, or you need the negative reinforcement of, hey, the house is not productive. Yeah. Either way, use whichever side of that coin you need to in order to ensure that you get up and take the right action. Yep. Right?
100%. I love it. Love it. So 10, we got it. This is one of the few times that we've actually finished
the list.
Finished the list.
Yeah.
And we went an hour and 20 minutes.
But we started 15. We went 15 minutes into.
Well, no, I'm just saying we went an hour and 8 minutes. We don't normally go over an hour. I like it.
No,
it's fun. I know.
New year, new show.
Smallhorn will be excited because this will rake well on YouTube because it's over an hour, and that's always showing bags on it.
I still don't know 100%.
We just keep.
I'm not going to clown somebody who has like almost 300,000
subscribers.
I'm not
saying
you.
I'm just not saying.
I want to just keep the cameras rolling for an extra 20 minutes after we're done.
Just focus on Brian.
Why don't we just? Here's what we do. We just run a live feed on our YouTube channel of the office, the studio office.
Not your office.
It'll pick up
that's
random yelling from the other side. Yeah, we couldn't do it
Actually,
over there.
that is a very good point.
Yeah.
Is this video made for children?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Negative.
I'll have to take that one back. I was like, that's a great. We just have a live feed. Everyone just log in.
Yeah.
Pay the real estate fans subscription. Like,
Conversational tone would have to change.
Yeah. I was listening on the way in. It's a revenue affiliate, not affiliate. It's a passive income show.
Okay.
And they're talking about, building passive income. But if you're doing that, what's passive to you is active to others.
Yes.
Right. And so one of their things was talking about, and this is where I'm getting the real estate fans kind of deal. I'm like, maybe we should look into selling some products that would help others, especially in their active income of selling.
Yeah.
And it becomes passive for us and look at that. So we may look at that from the tour studio side of things, especially if Jesse ever gets those clothes, of Kelderman's face. If funds are low, shit must go.
It exists.
It does.
It
It's
does
in the store.
Oh, then dude, that's passive income for us.
I know. We
Yeah.
need to set that up and get it finalized.
Yeah. So let's do that. That is a simplification of because it reminded me, Matt's got that play shirt on. I saw another, like, just easy stuff. Like, just number one, we'll send you that. Just go wear our swag.
Pretty sure there's t-shirts, hoodies, and sweatshirts.
Oh, dude,
I gotta get some.
I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be disappointed when summer comes
Hats.
because I'm into this hoodie phase. I wear hoodies almost 99% of the time now.
I know. So I
I
like
love it.
winter so much. You get to wear way cooler clothes.
Yeah.
I like my vests.
Yeah.
I'm a vest guy.
I'm trying to get into a vest a little bit. I wore one the other day.
I just don't need to keep my core warm like that. I think I'm fine.
I mean, but do you wear just the vest and nothing else?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
RealestateFans.com.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm doing a lot of flannel now.
Yeah.
I did notice that, yeah.
My old self.
You can do vest and flannel.
You can. I
Ooh.
sometimes do.
Yeah.
And that is a double whammy.
Yeah. It's got to stay extra
Yeah.
warm.
I feel like this guy's from Maine for sure.
Exactly.
All right, guys. If you like this, please leave us a review on anywhere you're consuming this podcast. If you're watching the video of this, go into our Facebook group, the only real estate group worth being a part of. And then if you're on YouTube, you can subscribe there and leave a comment, please. Because we're really working. Again, we're working on a lot of that stuff. So, and then go listen to the beginning of the show and support our sponsors. We're not going to run that through like Mortgage Mike and Armadillo and Dana at Homeward DFW and tourstudios.com. But just go back to the beginning of listen to all that. And, then we'll see you next week. Maybe we'll have the top 20 items that you should do.
Yeah, maybe this will be a 3-hour show.
Heyo.
All Joe Rogan style.
Exactly.
All right.
All right, go buy a new Oculus so you can.
I'm
you
loving
don't
it.
do
Yes.
Don't do it.
No.
Don't do it. Don't fall
Yeah,
into
we
the
told you guys to
trap.
buy the first one. Go buy the second one. Go get all the Oculus.
Wait, we didn't even
Go get all the
talk about
Oculi.
We'll do a drawing.
this. Yeah,
We want to draw.
the new Oculus for watching videos is great. I'm just telling you right now.
Videos.
Tune in next week.
Yeah. All right.
All right, bye.
Later.
Thanks for watching the show today. Make sure if you're watching this on Facebook, you head over to our group, the only real estate group worth being a part of, so you can watch the extended conversation. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And if you listen on the Apple Podcast, leave us a review. We'd really like it. So just do it. Do it. Do that over there. Go to this one. Then go to that one. Thanks.